Ashley Hawkins. Welcome to the Naked Lunch Club. I'm Brother Nubia. With my guest today is Ashley Hawkins out of North Carolina, the owner and operator of Simone Scents. We want to welcome Ashley to the show today. Ashley, how are you feeling this morning?
Good morning. I'm good. How are you?
Well, it's another day, another time to get the news out, to let the people know what's going on. Simone Scents. Tell us a little bit about Simone Scents.
Yes, so Scents by Simone.
Scents by Simone.
Company that started. Huh?
I was saying it backwards. It's Scents by Simone.
That's all right. You saying it, that's all that matters. But Scents by Simone is a luxury scent company that I started last year, really, in the middle of the pandemic. I love my home smelling good, feeling good, and, clean. And I wanted to be able to bring that experience to others' homes and their businesses that they have as well. So I started working with a company based out of Miami, and they were sending me scent samples, and different ones, hundreds of them to mix, and we got it together. They helped, and I sent the ones that I wanted, the logo, the look, how I wanted, the size, and so here we are now. I'm able to sell them, and hopefully in the future I'll be able to grow my company, adding different things for your home, and business.
Okay, so you're into aromas, and there is a mental health component to aromas. I know that out of the five senses, for example, the only sense that doesn't have to be activated is the smell sense. That sense is constantly going. And your brain doesn't have to say, "Hey, do you smell this?" But that's a part of your brain that's working 24/7. Your brain has to say to your eyes, "Hey, look over there," in order for you to see. So when you walk into a room and it's smelling good, like Mama's putting a cake on in the oven. That drops that just reduces your stress level down to zero just about, because once that fresh odor takes over, it's like, I can relax.
Yeah.
So in that sense, go ahead. I'm sorry. You'll just have to cut me off sometimes because I talk a lot, as you probably can tell. But in that sense, aromatherapy is important and vital to our community. And so I think that's a wonderful thing that you're doing with it's Scents by Simone, correct?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay. And let me say this real quick, guys, before I go any further. My co-host lives out in Texas, and he wasn't able to join us today because prior engagement, which is fine. But I wanted to shout out to Brother 360 Copper, my co-host. We'll see him, or we'll talk with him next Saturday. And I want to say this thing about my guest today, Ashley Hawkins. This person, by the way, who I do know personally, is one of the most, how should I say it, energized individuals I know. Her attitude is always positive. I don't think I've ever seen a negative moment out of this woman, to be totally honest with you. But she's always positive. She always has good things to say about people and about life. And that's what I love her energy. And I can see Scents by Simone being a branch of really who she is. You can just by, if you ever meet this lady, when I say this lady, I'm talking about Ashley Hawkins, A Hawk, that's what I call her. If you ever meet her, you'll know what I'm talking about, because the room will light up when she walks in. Okay. I've been knowing her for since the day she was born, actually, to be totally honest with you.
7 years.
Yeah, it's been years. Yeah. And a long time ago, and I think I sent her. I think I sent you that video where we tried to. We was doing like a little home video in your mom's house. Do you remember that? Long time ago. Me, you,
Which
Kendall.
one?
Oh God, it was up. I think you guys were out in Belvedere at the time. I'm not sure, but it was me, you,
Count
Kendall,
those.
where Kendall played the police officer that would knock on your door, and you was upstairs in the room, and he'd come knock on your door, and you'd come down the stairs. Do you remember that at all?
Oh my God, I do. Now that you're just saying it, I do remember
I
that.
got that video. I'll send you a clip of it too. But the thing about it is
Send it
this.
to me.
I'll send that to you. But the thing about it is this is the kind of energy that she brings into the room. And I think that's such a wonderful person. And I'm so glad that she was able to join us today. And I hope this isn't the last time I have a chance to talk with Ashley.
Yeah.
So what is the address, or if I wanted to order or buy something from Sense by Simone, how do I do that?
So you can just go on to sensebysimone.com. On the end of Simone, there's a hyphen that you put over the E, and it'll take you right to my page. So sensebysimone.com, and there's a hyphen over the E on Simone at the end.
Okay. And on there's a list of your products and what I can buy in order.
Yes. So
Okay.
it gives a full description of what the candle, what they smell like, how big they are. They are 85 hours of burn time. So it's a long burning candle. And we have something on there for men, for women, for just if you want a fresh scent, if you want citrus, if you want masculine. We have all those, I like to call them good smells on there that make you feel good. It just makes your home or your business feel so welcoming. People like to walk in and be like, ooh, what's that smell? So that's what it provides for your home and your business. So.
Okay, sounds good. Now, you said that you thought about this during the pandemic. It came to you. Was there anything particular going on in your life that you felt maybe stressed over? Or I guess what kind of led you down that path is what I'm asking, basically.
So, my mom she loves candles. She burns them, almost every day. I remember the last time she got out of the hospital, me, my siblings, my dad, we all wanted to get her gifts and make her feel really good. And so they got her balloons and shoes because she loved clothes and shoes. And I went and I got her a box of candles. And out of all the things that she got, really expensive gifts, she loved the candles the most because it was so simple, but it was something that she loved. She could light them. It made her feel good. They smelled great. It made your house smell good. So she was really excited about the candles. So that's where I get my love for scents and candles from. So during the pandemic, it was hard on a lot of people because they were, losing their jobs and people were having to stay home. And I wanted to feel closer to my mom. And that was one of the ways I could is start this company in her honor because she loved candles. She loved for her house to smell good. So I was like, you know what? I'm going to start this business in honor of her, and we'll see what happens.
Okay. Now, all of, just to hear you talk about that, I can hear healing in everything that you're saying. The reason why you're doing it, the world's going through a pandemic. You want to help heal the world through that pandemic. You want to bring sunshine and joy into life. You want to commemorate someone who's very, very special to you through your candles. Through your work. So I can see the humanitarianism in that, and the goal to just reach out and to help people, which brings me to, I guess, another question I wanted to talk about is, now you are, and let me know if I get too personal, you can say, hey, I don't go there, I don't talk about that. But you're single as far as I know, which is, probably by choice. But you're also a female and you're an African American. So in this society today, I don't know how to say this, but it's a struggle, I think, for Black people, period. But when you're a female, though, and you're single and you're young, you got so many forces pulling at you, you got, guys are coming at you all out of the woodwork, and I don't know, I think women got a thing where they call it biological clock, where they look at that clock, so they're racing against that, and then they have to compete in a world where it's dominated by really pale people, it's dominated by pale men. But The second most powerful class of people in this country is the black female. Now that's a fact. So being a young black female, having your own business going for you, what are some of the things that you face? What is that like? And if you could like talk to anybody else and then kind of encourage them, what would be some things that you would say to them about, who you are or being who they are and how they could overcome and achieve?
Yeah, first, the whole biological clock thing is so funny because one of my aunts called me and was like, hey, you gonna get married and have kids, you getting older. And honestly, it's not something that I think about. It's not one of my worries. I know that I'm a young woman, and I know that when that time comes, it will come and it will be right. I want it to be right. I don't want to have a child just to have a child. I don't want to, marry just to marry because I want it to be something that lasts and that can represent Black love and excellence in a healthy way. When you look at a 27-year-old man, no one tells him these things, right? They're like, oh, he's too young or he's living his prime or, that day will come. But at 27 now, it's like, girl, your clock is ticking. Your eggs might be frying. What are you going to do? And I just don't worry about those things. My faith is in God. I know that when that time comes, I will meet the man I'm supposed to be with. If it's our decision to create and start a family, we'll do that. But I want to make sure it's done the right way and that I welcome a child in a healthy, safe, and good environment. And so my child can be great in the world. But for young business owners or young Black women who are thinking about starting a business or finding their way or their path, listen to your heart and what you dedicate your time to, what you love to do. Go forth and do it. Do the research. Check out your market and see who it's for, and who you can sell your product to or who you can be a service to. And be dedicated. Don't be lazy with your brand because, it is yours. This is my baby. My brand is my baby right now. So I'm putting all of my time and effort in it, and hopefully that shows off.
Wow. And that, it sounds like you're telling them to avoid the toxicity in life. Don't rush it. Wait, because
the standards of the world, the pressures of the world, and the standards, no one person is made alike. And I think that just every time I think of it, it blows my mind. But no one person was made alike, and everyone's story and path is different. And I'm on my own path. I'm in my own lane. And I'm just doing what I need to do for me. And if someone else feels the need to have a child or, go down that path right now, I wish them the best. And I hope and pray that it's healthy. And, because I think Black people, we love baby showers, but there's not a lot of weddings.
Yeah.
And I want to do it the right way. I don't want to bring a child into a divided or broken home.
Well, I
want to have
that's awesome, avoid the toxicity of rushing into relationships because so much can happen when you get involved with the wrong person. You bring the wrong tools into your life, and they unpack those tools and begin to set up and begin to build in your life. And it can be so detrimental. It can take years to recover from that. And sometimes people don't even recover from it. So I agree with you, Ashley. I think, don't rush the toxicity. Take your time. Find somebody you're compatible with. And then it sounds like you have a plan. You said, you talked about building your career, building your future. You're an entrepreneur right now, which I applaud you for that. So you're focused, you have a plan, and you're striving for something. And that to me seems to be the most important thing to you right now, is to get yourself together, so to speak, which brings me to another point. Now, I am a mental health clinician by profession. That's what I do. And I often write about mental health issues, freelance. And one of the things I've written about is what I call an understory. And I say that we all have an understory. And an understory is what we see every single day. We see the actions of people. But many of those people never get the opportunity to tell that story. So all we see is actions, and we don't know the story because that's an understory, and that's who made them
Right.
into who they are and what they became. And so when I listen to you talk, I can see an understory where you had in your life stability. You had someone who guided you and gave you that influence to push forward, and I think that's really,
Right.
really important. So you have an understory that brought you to the
Mm-hmm.
point that made you Ashley Hawkins, who you are today. What
Right.
and as a black woman, I think, I want to say this, that we all have that understory, and there is a collective understory that we also share as a people. I'm a black man, and so I have a general idea about how black men may feel in this country that who are in my circle. There's those who go beyond my circle. I call them Republicans, which I don't care for, by the way, and we'll talk about that a whole nother time. Um,
Mm-hmm.
but anyway, there's an understory. There's a collective understory that identifies us with this particular group that we're in, and you're a young black female, so you're identified with that group, and as an understory.
Right.
What is the general feeling that people such as yourself have or share, or what are some of the emotional ups and downs, I guess I should say, of where you're at in life, being who you are in this particular category or group of people?
I think when I think of black women and when I see black women, if I were to see another black woman right now, without saying anything, we can agree that black women have to be strong no matter what. I think people expect that from black women, that we must be strong at all times, no matter what we're going through, no matter where we are supposed to be strong. And I think it's a huge misconception, because I think it allows for women, black women in particular, to suffer in silence when it comes to mental health. Mental health illness is happening at a higher rate than like heart disease and cancer and diabetes. And women are twice as likely to experience an episode of like major depression than men. And compared to, pale people, black women are only half as likely to seek help. So in our community, people say, oh, if you crazy, or, you're weak if you're seeking help for your mental. And it's actually completely backwards, because it's showing how strong you are and aware that you do need to seek help in this, this
Yeah.
particular section in your life. And I also think that a lot of times we want to see people who look like us, right? It's hard to open up to medical professionals who do not look like us, who don't understand where we come from. They cannot relate to us. But I think black women in this field make up like less than 5%. So we have like no other option to go to people who don't look like us, who can't relate to us, and pour out our feelings and emotions. And sometimes that can be very difficult. It is difficult, but black women, if you think about it, any black woman that has had a child, postpartum depression is real. Women go through a near-death experience with their body, on top of welcoming a new baby, a child, and having to care for this child, and the pressure of giving your child the world. Yeah. And a lot of black women in particular, go through that alone.
Yeah. You said
so
that.
We want to take black women, and it's always, we have a lot on our plate. We're taking care of children. We're taking care of our men. A lot of black women are taking care of their elderly parents. They're still working, and they want black women to continue to be strong. That's how we have to present ourselves. And I think there was a John Hopkins research that said if you took like this mindful meditation course for like 8 weeks, it would help to improve your depression and anxiety and your pain symptoms. But I think a part of helping with anxiety and depression is knowing your limits. If you're dealing with things that are making you feel depressed or, causing you to have anxiety, you shouldn't add extra things on your plate that will cause stress. Learning to say no is huge. I'm learning to say no to things and to people and without giving an explanation. Just no. My answer is no, and I'm leaving it there. And I'm not going to come back and explain it because my mental health is important. And it always boggles my mind when I hear people, they say, oh, I'm going for a yearly checkup exam for, my physical or this or that and going to the dentist. But it's not normal to go and get a mental exam, which is just as important. Yeah. So I think that we should normalize that.
Do you think young Black women or women in general, I should say this, have an issue where they are constantly being labeled by society, though, stuck in a particular category? Because you talked about women suffering in silence. I was looking for a clip that I have from a lady. I don't remember her name, but in the clip she talked about it was time that, and she was particularly talking about the African American female. She said it was time that we are loved. It's time that we are accepted. It's time that we're respected by our men and by society. She said that growing up, she never saw a movie where a Black woman was a damsel in distress. She never saw anything like that where she was saved or rescued, And when I heard her say that, I thought to myself, wow, that's true. She said, I've never seen a movie where the Black woman is the heroine, where she comes in and she wipes out the enemy, And she said, I haven't seen anything like that. Recently, they've been, like there's the Black Wonder Woman, the Black Supergirl, I guess, I don't know. But traditionally, though, in the media, the labels that are the stigmas attached to the Black female is always subservient or having a bad attitude or single and can't get a man in a house full of kids, That's how the media labels, I think, a lot of Black women. And I think we join in with that label, and a lot of Black men. And then they begin to look at Black women as being, not as worthy mates, but rather as something. Yeah. So how do you avoid that label? Do you even have to avoid it? First of all, I should say. Because obviously that's their opinion, not yours of yourself. But when you talk about mental health, one of the components of mental health is identity, and we try to identify with positive things in our lives, But sometimes the negativity is overwhelming. Those labels become, to the point where we trap ourselves within those labels. I'll say this, and I'll let you go ahead and talk on that. There was a parable about a eagle who was captured by a group of chickens. And the chickens said, well, this eagle thinks he's better than us. This eagle thinks he's all that. So we'll show this eagle he ain't no better. So they captured the eagle and they chained the eagle to a brick. And so every time the eagle would try to fly away, he'd get so far, and then the chain would pull him back down, and he would just, hit the ground real hard. So over a period of time, it broke his spirit. So the chicken said, well, we've proved our point. We've let this eagle know that he's no better than us, so we'll let him go. Well, when they let the eagle go, he continued to walk around the rock. He didn't try to fly away anymore. And the chickens was like, hey, what's wrong with that guy? He's free. Didn't he know that? Didn't he know that he can fly away? And the eagle never tried. And that's because in the process of time, the eagle's spirit had become broken. And the eagle just basically gave up. So how do you avoid that label and not giving up? How do you not become that eagle?
I think it's just being who you are. Like, our nature as a people is not evilness. It never was. And I think the more we become who we are, who we were designed to be, we shine. We shine without trying. We shine with being who we are. And I can't relate to that. Some people, some women, it is very true. That is their story. That's not every Black woman's story, how they depict it in the media and in movies and so on. But I think the more Black women in particular continue building, being strong, because we are strong, but being entrepreneurs, going in buildings and going in doors that they don't want to let us in, continuing to be business women and doctors and, you know, engineers. I mean, going to those tables and showing them who we are. We are more than what they set us out to be. I think that's the only way that's how we overcome it. And really, it's just us being who we are. It's not trying to prove anyone wrong. When I started this company, I'm not trying to prove anyone wrong and say, no, this is what I can do, look at me. But it's just, this is who I am. This is what I want to do. And I'm just going to do it. I'm not doing it out of hate. I'm not doing it out of, you know, anything but love.
Mm-hmm.
So I think if, you know, we keep our mindset focused on the goal and not listening to the naysayers and the five-liners, and we just keep building, and we go to the top.
Yeah, I agree so much. You know, you said that a lot of black women fight battles. They have hidden demons that they fight, and they're not aware of it. Or when they are aware of it, there's such a stigma attached to someone saying, "Hey, I'm stressed out. Hey, I got issues going on."
Yeah.
You know. Now, there's also another component to that too, as well, and let's talk about that a little bit. And I talk about this in detail all the time. So let me just give you a little background on it. I talk about epigenetic transmission of trauma. And when I talk about epigenetical transmissions of trauma, there's two ways that trauma is transferred to us, okay? There's a biological component, which we call the epigenetical component, and then there is the environmental component, where we live in a hostile environment where violence is repeatedly shown to us. You know, then there's that epigenetical transmitted trauma where it's called the G DNA within us, and that DNA is what tells us what we like, what we don't like, our favorite color, our favorite food. That DNA kind of directs that, and that DNA can be rewritten over and over and over again. So over a process of time, black people experience so much trauma in this country till that gene has been completely rewritten to reflect trauma response. And we're not even aware of it a lot of times. You know, we look at our kids, and Johnny's in school and Johnny's doing just great. But then all of a sudden, Johnny flips out. Johnny becomes a problem child. And the first thing we say is, oh, he's just acting out. Or he get it from his parents. Or he just needs his ass whooped. You know what I mean? Not realizing that there's been a trauma response activated within him that was passed down through his biological parents, mother and father, because they both had their traumas that they internalized. And then in the environment, Johnny walks out of the house, on the news, there's a person being shot. In the movies, people are being shot. So, you know, Johnny's surrounded by violence, repeated exposure to violence over and over and over and over again. And what we've learned from that is that there's a part of our brain that processes these happenings. And what happens over a period of time, the trauma begin to decrease our ability to learn. It takes away from our motivation. We begin to lack motivation. We don't want to strive for anything because we sink into a world of depression. And there was a study done on first responders who were responding to violent episodes constantly, and they begin to notice a pattern among these first responders, that they begin to sink in deep depressions. They begin to lack motivation. Their cognitive abilities begin to diminish. Well, our kids are experiencing that at alarming rates, and we're not even aware of it because in our community, we are repeatedly exposed to violence over and over again, so to the point that we begin to denigrate one another. And how we do that is we stop caring about how my neighbor really feels, because it's all about survival. We're in survival mode now. We have a learned helplessness where, you know what, I don't care if Johnny's gonna make it or not, because I gotta make it, and my little Johnny's gotta make it. So I don't care what happens to that little Johnny over there, you know. But the problem is, my little Johnny, that little Johnny, and myself, we all have traumatic responses to the experiences around us, and they're not being dealt with. They're not being dealt with at all. We are the most underserved, mentally ill class of people in this country, and we look at mental illness like it's a taboo. So, being a black woman, and seeing that struggle that black women go through, and I think that, and you can tell me if I'm wrong, but I think that, in my opinion, I think it's harder for a black woman in today's society because, as a man, I can easily say, and this has been a process of time. This has been taught to us, so it's become part of our DNA and our way of thinking. Is that we can just get up and just leave. We don't have to worry about the woman or the child that we've had with her. We just get up and go out there, leave her back there with the kids, with the babies. But she can't do that though. She can't get up and just say, I'm going to go, because she's got little Johnny now, And so
Right.
she has to grit her teeth, bear that pain in silence, and not get that help because she didn't have time to get help. She's too busy dealing with little Johnny. She doesn't have time to take care of herself.
Right.
And then the label is put on her that she becomes, just an object, something for a man's pleasure, or just a second-class citizen in a way of speaking. Do young black women, do you think a lot of them may fall into that trap of feeling that way?
Absolutely, I think so. That's why I think it's extremely important. We, as women and men, black women and men, I think we owe it to the next generation to make sure we are bringing kids into healthy environments. So if the parents of Johnny are having these issues, right, the last thing they need to do is bring a child into the equation, right? So now he's taking on their trauma and he's exposed to a very bad environment, and this cycle continues. And it's not broken. And that's why I say I want to make sure that I bring my child into a healthy environment, that his father or the child's father and mother is healthy mentally, emotionally, physically, all the way around, so that child has a chance to be brought up in a healthy environment where there's love and there's opportunity. But we as a people, we're just having babies. And our environment is not the same as pale people or the next people. It's harder for us. We don't start at the same line as pale people. We are far behind. And so we have to set ourselves up and think about our future and think about your child. When you really love them, and you set your child's future up, and don't bring them into something toxic, and wait, or go to therapy before you get married and have children, and make sure you're in a good mindset. But I think that's absolutely, I agree with your opinion. That's where a lot of black women are, unfortunately. But it's true.
So the suffering in silence is a reality that I think a lot of black people face that. I often tell people about my older brother who passed away, that I didn't realize until he was gone that he had his own demons that he was fighting. He had his own private Vietnam going on in his backyard, of his mind, that he was fighting. And he fought that battle alone, and eventually that battle won. It caused him to turn to, outerly substances to numb that pain, as for escapism. It's so easy for us to not look for the cure, but look for a how should I say the term? Not the cure, but just to cope with it, like putting a Band-Aid on a bullet wound. It's so easy for us to do that when we're fighting these battles, And a lot of us turn away from looking for the source of that struggle or that problem to just getting over it, just dealing with it every day, That in itself is mind-boggling and mind-rushing, But just think about it, How many of us look for substances to cope with our problems? And it only takes us down the rabbit hole of destruction. But we're human, though. We need that. We need to feel happy. We need to feel good about ourselves. Obviously, Ashley,
why? I'm sorry to interrupt you right there, but you know why that in our black communities there are more liquor stores than therapists.
Yeah. Oh, definitely.
There are more. Yeah.
No, you're right. And that brings me to. I'm sorry, go ahead. I didn't mean to cut you off.
No, I was saying there's more liquor stores than anything. There's more things in the black community to keep black people down than bring them up and bring them out.
And
And it shows.
and when you say that, that also to me is indicative of our state of mental health. When we allow other
Mm-hmm.
people to come in and sell us poison and we buy it, what's that? What does that say about us? There's something going on in our brain and our emotions.
Mm-hmm.
There's a disconnect from reality because we are buying
Right.
poison that's killing us. And I'm not judging us because I'm guilty of the same thing. I've carried my dumb self to the liquor store plenty of times. And I've gotten
Mm-hmm.
inebriated beyond the point where I could even reason, you know? But in the end,
Right.
it was foolishness. And
Mm-hmm.
it's indicative of a mental health issue. And I think that's collective in the African American community. There's a feeling of a collective mistrust. We don't trust, like you said, the other people who want to diagnose us. Their
Right.
problems are not the same as ours. Now I know they use a one size fits everybody strategy, but let me tell you why I said what I said, okay? Nobody in the world has endured 300 plus years of being horribly brutalized repeatedly day after day after day. Our women
Mm-hmm.
were raped. And when they refused to be raped, they were beaten to death. They were used as, and so were black men, used for experiments, medical experiments to advance the fields of medicine. I was talking to my daughter the other day. She was going to go to the doctor and she was like, I don't want to go. I don't want to go. And I said, you know, that's common in our community. We have a fear of going to the doctor. Iatrophobia is what it's called. We have a fear of going to the doctor because, again, this is epigenetic. Over a period of time, back during slavery, we were sent to vets, not to doctors. And this one pale guy who is real famous now for being the father of medicine for women, and he created some of these tools that is used on women. But he said that he had an endless supply of slaves to learn from, and he would use no anesthesia, no antiseptics, none of that stuff, and he would use these crude instruments on these women to perfect medical instruments for pale people. So out of that grew a fear of going to the doctor. And I think that still exists today. Now I said all of that just to say this, is that we look for ways to numb ourselves, to overcome our struggles. But I'm looking at Sense by Simone, correct?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So it sounds like to me you figured out a way to deal with those outside forces. And you've taken all of that and you've turned it into something positive. What put you on that path, I guess we should say? I mean, is that something that just naturally came to you, or were there struggles you went through, you think, or what?
I think we all look like that self-doubt of like, man, I don't know if it's going to work. How is it going to look? Will it fail? Like, how will I do for the thing? But I knew one thing for sure is that when I moved to North Carolina in 2018, that I had to come and I had to make a difference. I had to be on the right path. I had to be successful. Because if not, I could have stayed home. What is the reason for leaving, going so far away from your family with no one, like not knowing anyone when I moved here? And there are hard days, really hard days, but I put my mind to it. All funding came from me. Like I didn't go to a bank. I didn't ask anybody for money. I just said, I'm going to do it. I believe in it. So I'm going to take my own funds. I'm going to invest into it and I'm going to start it. But there's self-doubt. Sometimes the state or whoever makes it extremely difficult for you to get what you need. There will be little hurdles put in place, but if you stop at that hurdle, you won't make it to the next hurdle. And I wanted to overcome all the hurdles, thrown my way. And I was like, I'm just going to do it. I don't care what gets in my way. I will find a way around it and we will create. We will be magical. The company will do what it's supposed to do. And I'm excited to see it grow. I
Yeah.
really am.
I think that's wonderful, and I applaud you. And I'm not saying this to butter you up or anything of that nature, but I'm saying what's really true. I applaud you. I
Mm.
love your energy. I think you are so dynamic. You've always been a funny little person to me, and you've grown to be a beautiful woman, a very strong woman. And I want you to just continue on that path and continue to be successful, because I know that if there's anybody out there who has the potential to be a great person and to help people, it's you. You've got what it takes. You're blessed.
Mm.
You're gifted with that. I also know
Thank you.
that you're a singer too, right?
Oh yeah, still
So,
fun.
so how's the
Yeah,
singing coming
yeah.
along for you? Are
Say
you still
what?
are you still singing now, or have you looked towards that way, or how's that going for you
I
right now?
That's always that's a gift that I did not ask for, and it's my favorite gift. So I always, that's my. I don't even know how to explain it. Like, it's just a gift that I was given. I try to use it. I'm gonna use it more. I do want to record music. I wanted to start a live band, but I haven't been able to put that together yet. But I know that I have this gift for a reason. So if I can help uplift, heal people, make happy music, then that's what I want to do. So I'm just taking things slow and, one thing at a time, because one thing about when I do something, I like quality work. And I don't want to I don't want to attach my name to something that isn't quality. So when I do start releasing music, it will definitely be what I believe in, up to par, quality, all of that. So, but
Yeah,
I
yeah.
want to.
I find it. I couldn't even begin to think of anything that you would do that would not be quality. I think anything and everything you do is quality because you have that background. You have those genes that says perfection or else. So whatever you do, as far as I'm concerned, it's going to be perfect. I already know that. So I want to
Okay.
encourage you to continue to use that beautiful voice to uplift, to encourage people. Um,
Well,
I mean, you have so much and so many things that you can offer to people, and I just think it's just a beautiful thing. I wish you were still back here with us,
I
because
know.
there's because you talked about being in North Carolina. You said that the environment where Black people are striving out there. They're actually doing
Mhm.
things. Moving into a milieu like that, an environment like that, what has that done for you? Has that inspired you? And how can you take that inspiration and give it back to other people to let them know, hey, this is where you need to be at, or
Yeah.
you know,
I tell people, come visit, come, open your eyes, because anybody that I talk to back home, I tell them Charlotte is something that we have never seen in Rockford. There are successful Black businesses. There are people who are successful there that look like us. But when you come here, and it's like you go to, all of my doctors look like me. You know,
oh wow,
the my banker looks like me. My my nail tech looks like me. I mean, just anywhere I go, I can find someone who looks like me, and for me, that gives me a warm heart. It does, because it's like,
yeah,
man, I've come from a place where you don't see that. You don't see your people in these positions, and to see them as doctors, bankers, just lenders or whatever, it's a different feeling. It inspires me, because another thing about our people, if I go to a pale doctor, they're going to do the standard by the book, right?
right,
Um, if I go to someone who looks like me, they do above and beyond. That has been my experience. Even in banking, to open a business account. But my Black sister was like, you know what, we're gonna open this account, but I also want to drop some gems on this. Check out this for funding, these grants, and
wow.
it's a difference. We look out for each other, and it's here. You have
So
that here, and so that makes me super proud and comfortable.
wow, yeah, and that's so powerful what you just said, because that's one of the ways that we as a people can begin to heal is by coming together. The confidence that is shared
Yes,
amongst us, the fact that we're willing to go up and over, and the media is always going to portray us as being drug dealers, gang bangers, hoochie mamas, twerkers, and all, but that's just not who we are. We are really intelligent
right.
people. We have good hearts.
That's yes.
Racism is something that we just don't do. We love everybody. We're not afraid to share what we have. But it's a healing
Right.
process for us. When we get together and we have our own environment, our own banks, our own schools, our own medias, whatever, it creates that confidence that you feel good about it, and it begins the healing process of being discriminated against in this country for so long.
Right.
We lose
Right.
that collective sense of mistrust, and we begin to gain a collective trust towards one another. And I think that's the path to healing, is to recover what we've lost. There's a documentary going on right. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
I think all what helping us to heal and come together, like you said, coming together. Like, the Black woman is the most disrespected and unprotected person in America, in the world, and we need our Black men to protect and to cover us. I don't know what it is. I do know there is a war between the Black man and the Black woman, and it breaks my heart. It really does. But the more I live, the more I grow, the more I experience things, I see this. I see this war between, the Black man and the Black woman. And the Black woman needs the Black man to be strong, needs the Black man to be able to lead and, be healthy mentally and emotionally.
Okay. So with that being said,
if all the pressure falls on the Black woman to be strong and to be that force and to be that.
Uh-oh. Am I losing you?
Yeah, go ahead.
Oh, yeah. On that note, since you said that, you just brought out the brother Nubia in me, so I'm gonna switch to take my regular glasses off. I'm gonna put my shades on. I'm gonna answer. I'm gonna address what you just said, okay, as brother Nubia. All right.
Yeah.
So you brought out the brother Nubia in me. There is a war on the Black family in this country. Black men are pitted against Black women on purpose. People haven't noticed this. There's some who have, but there is an insidious attack on the Black family in this country, and that purpose of that attack is to remove the Black man out of the family, of the Black family, out of society. Black men are the only group of people in America that's decreasing in population rather than increasing. Our families are being destroyed at alarming rates. America plays a psychological game on us, and we're not aware of it. And it comes through the biggest influencer of all, and that's the media. So, when you look at commercials now, you'll find that an Afrocentric Black woman got her hair all knotted up, looking good, looking like a queen, and you see some pale dude step up as her husband. That's all throughout the movies now, all throughout the media now. Our kids see those images. Then they look at the negative images of the Black man. He doesn't have any money. He's a player. He's ignorant. He's unintelligent. He can't do anything for me. He's got a nice body, though. He's got to go all the right parts, but that's it. I need somebody's going to make my baby look good. I need somebody with money. So the Black woman, in turn, runs from her own into the arms of the other. And what she doesn't realize is that although they may love her, she'll never get the same respect that she would get from a Black man. Vice versa. The Black man does the same thing. He runs over to Sally, thinking Sally is better than Brenda. And Sally is actually, for him, maybe be worse than Brenda. Because Brenda, when I say Brenda, I'm talking about the Black female, she's not going to sell her for shorts. She's going to tell that man, get up off your ass, get you a job, bro. You can't lay up in here. I'm not taking care of no grown-ass man. That's what Brenda going to say. Sally sit over there and, oh, baby, you ain't got to work. I'll take care of everything. Don't worry about it. And with that docile, mentally affected mind, the Black man will sit there and go along with it. And then when he does reach a status where he does become something, he does something in his life, he doesn't want Brenda because Brenda's ghetto. Brenda has an attitude. Brenda's hard-headed. So he'll run over to Sally again. So there is an insidious attack on the Black family, on Black relationships, on Black love. And I promote Black love because I truly believe in it. Brother Nubia, That's me. I love black women. Black women are queens to me. I'm not discriminating
Yeah.
against other groups of people or women, you know. I'm telling you that nobody, nothing, and nothing can do it for me but a black woman. That's all I need. That's all I want. I don't want anything other than that. If she's not black, she's not in my life. We need to develop that attitude. And I think being in an environment like the one that Ashley is in, where you see black professionals, it will promote that because this country is tearing our families down. The highest abortion rate in this country right now is between the ages of 14 and 19, and it's among our black women. Black men are dying, our black women are killing our babies, and then marrying off in these other groups of people. The so-called Ashkenazi Jews love to marry black women, but they teach their boys not to marry. I'm sorry, they teach their girls not to marry a black man, but they will marry a black woman, and they know why they do that. We're the only ones being duped. We're the only ones looking at ourselves through the scope of racism that this country has purposely created so that you and I will deny each other and ourselves in the process. America is known as the great melting pot, but we never thought what's being melted in that pot. You are the only thing being melted in the pot. No one else. Your culture has been melted. Your language has been melted. Your history has been melted. And it's been reshaped into an Americanization. Malcolm X talked about two types of black people. He called them the house nigga versus the field nigga. And I've sort of redid that, and I call it the dehumanized black person versus the rehumanized black person. The rehumanized black person is one who will say, if you're not making it in society, it's your own fault. He will excuse all of the horribleness that's been done to us. He will say that racism does not exist today. He will say that we live in a post-racial America. And he will blame you for your own mental illness. That's a rehumanized black. But a dehumanized black person deals with the reality of racism in this country every day. Deals with the rejection every single day. And he knows that he doesn't matter if he becomes a CEO of a company. And does Skip Gates, professor at Harvard, a well-known educated artist, Skip Gates, a black man, was going in Connecticut, went to his house, unlocking his door, and a passerby saw a black man going into this lavishly built home, called the police. The police showed up. And they wanted to arrest this man for entering his own home when he told them it was his home. They harassed this guy. And Barack Obama was the president at that time, and he had to sit down between that officer and Skip Gates to iron out that art. But that's a pattern in this country. That's a pattern in this country that we are we're just bottom of the ocean, and we reflect that in our relationships with one another. So yes, you're right, Ashley. The black family is being destroyed, but it's happening purposely. So we need to open up our eyes. We need to take a stand.
Yes, we do. We do. I mean, they see how strong we are as individuals. They fear us being together as one unit. If we are together as a unit, we can take over the world. You know, there's just so many gifts inside of us. We would definitely we're able to do more together. I mean, we can do a lot alone, but we can do so much more together. And that's why their goal is to, tear the black households apart and, kick the dads out. If you're getting assisted by the government, they say, well, if you need our help, you can't be with that man because he should be able to provide for you.
Yeah, and then and then the backdrop of that, there's been so much discrimination against against black people. I'm going back to the days after slavery ended. I'm not talking about slavery because slavery was horrible in itself, but after slavery ended, there was the penny system where black men and women were sent to these penal farms, leased out back to these plantations, and worked to death. For 80-some years, that system existed in this country. After that, you had you had the black codes and Jim Crow laws that come along. For over 100 years, there was one black person lynched per day in this country for over 100. I think, well, actually, maybe 96 years. If you look at all the lynchings that happened to black people, and we weren't the only ones being lynched, but by far we were the most. If you look at the number of black folks that were lynched, it will stretch over you can add that up and calculate it to a per day lynching, and it would go to over 96 years where we were lynched, at least one of us in this country. But then they'll tell us Martin King um, talked about one of the reasons why Martin King was assassinated was because he did the Poor People's March. And during the Poor People's March, King said, while I was fighting for us to be integrated, to sit at the lunch counter with these people, I didn't fight for any economical power for us. Because at the same time that this country was telling the black person to pull yourselves by the bootstrap, they were giving millions of dollars away to peasant farmers. Money that they didn't have to pay back, money they used to build their homes, their businesses with. But they were telling the black man or the black people, pull yourself up by your bootstrap. Now, I don't know about you, but it's pretty hard to pull yourself up by the bootstraps when you don't have any boots on. I don't know.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah, I don't know. But, our time is winding up, man. I'm having such a great conversation with Ashley and Sense by Simone. I don't want to forget about that because I think that's such a wonderful thing, and I want us, to talk about that before we close out. We talked about aromatherapy and how those that smell can bring relief. Do you have any types of your scents right now? Are they specifically designed to calm the mind or to soothe the tiredness of the day?
None are specifically designed to calm the mind, but I think whatever calms your mind is just based on what you like, what you smell, and like, oh wow, that's super relaxing. So you may smell one of these candles and you're like, yes, you know what, this is really soothing and relaxing for me. The clean scent, you got the citrus that can be calming, masculine scents that could, be calming as well. But I want to add more to it. That's why I changed the name. The name originally was going to be called PM Candles, and that's my mom's initials. So it was kind of a way to honor her. And then I was talking to Trinity, my 15-year-old niece at the time, and she was like, you know what, maybe you should do Sense by Simone because it will allow you to do other things, plug-ins, room sprays, and just have a bunch of different things and make it a brand.
Yeah.
She's just so smart. I was like, absolutely. I had to take her idea and make her the creative director of Sense by Simone. So we,
wow.
But it's just, that's just another example of the magic and creativity inside of us at her young, tender age, saying, just thinking outside the box, thinking beyond candles for me, inspiring me. So, the candles are there. So much more is coming. And the support, the love is appreciated. SenseBySimone.com, the hyphen over the E on Simone, and they can shop there.
Well, I'm going to start promoting Sense by Simone on my pages too as well. As I go further in my show, I'm going to say one of my sponsors is Sense by Simone, by the way. So I'll add you to my creditors.
Yes.
But I think that overall, I want to say that you are inspiring. I think all black women are inspiring. And I think it'll do black men some good to follow their lead because they are courageous. They're fighters. They don't give up. They don't give in. They're strong. And so I applaud black women. I applaud you for the work you're doing. I don't want you to stop. I want you to keep it going. Will there be, or is there an area that you're looking in terms of providing, we talked about this a little bit too, providing scents that are healthy for us? We only got like 2 minutes left, but let's talk about that before we close out.
Yeah, so I want to provide, like I said, we're gonna make it broad. We're gonna do those scents, aromatherapy scents for people to be able to burn. Reading the book, or if you come home and have had a stressful day, you can light these candles and it can help to relax you. But I do also want to tell you that along with the scented company, I'm getting ready to start a nonprofit organization in honor of my mom to provide resources for women and men that are on the street, for battered women, single moms, to provide them with resources to get them on the path to greatness.
Wow.
So
powerful.
That's it. Yes, and we want to make sure that is right, and we want to make sure that it reflects my mom in that biggest way, because she loves people so much, and she had a special place in her heart for women on the streets. So we just want to honor her. I mean, it doesn't stop with the Centric company, but we want to go higher. We want to reach people. We want to inspire people and help people. So when that gets started, hopefully we can come back and have a different conversation about that organization as well.
Yeah, wow. I mean, that is just awesome. You gotta love her energy. The Naked Lunch Club, Brother Nubia, with Ashley Hawkins of Scents by Simone out of North Carolina. Get you some scents, get you some flavors in your life, and enjoy the rest of the weekend and your day. And we're out. Peace. All right, so that wraps us up. So we